to Straight Talk with Sally. We are on our podcast batching day. We have a great guest lined up for you today. And we have known each other via just a tiny little circle on screen for a very long time. And today we actually got to see each other in real life. Well, as real life as it gets these days. Now, if you are joining us live, you can totally chat away with us and ask questions. If you like, make sure that I bring that little guy up. And if you're on the replay, make sure you comment that you're watching the replay as well. All right, guys, so we are streaming out over all of the things today with my special guest, Bre Donofrio, who is the founder and CEO of V by Bre. That's a virtual event experience. Now, she is a renowned event planner who has curated over 1,000 unique events all over the world. And Bre also helps brands, both personal and product brands, to lead the way in the audio space. And that's where we met. She has been hailed the queen of Clubhouse and was once the highest paid moderator on Clubhouse. Now, Bre is one of the most highly sought after and influential content creators and producers in the live social audio space. And Bre was one of the first creators to launch an online Clubhouse course, and she sold over 12,500 places inside that course. Pretty cool for a brand new app. She's leading the way. Hundreds of Clubhouse rooms later, Bre has been the pioneer in the live and social audio space, producing shows for so many different celebrities. But I'm so excited to bring Bre in today and really pick her brain, because I know she was back there when or maybe she was on there a little bit before I was, but December 20, I don't know. I think everything's a blur with COVID. I don't know what year we're even in, guys. But to pick her brain to find out what is it that, she's learnt over her time there. And I tried not to ask too many questions before we went live today, because it's more fun when I enter these interviews with real curiosity. So please help me in welcoming into Straight Talk with Sally, the beautiful Bre. Hey, Bre. Hang on one second, there we go. Our sound's right now. There she is. Hi.
There we go. Hello. That was a glowing introduction. I should hang out with you more often. Thanks for having me so much. It's so good to see you, Sally.
Yeah, real life, not little round circles. Normally, Bre in Clubhouse has this little, bright pink hair and a little coffee cup, which we were just talking in the background. There it is. There's the cup. We were talking in the background, it's in the afternoon and she's still drinking coffee. And I'm like, yeah, I'm drinking coffee at bedtime. And we're like, yeah, we can totally be friends now. Well, Bre, before we get stuck into learn more about our topic today, tell us a little bit sort of about you and, where you started from and what got you to where you are today.
So it's interesting, a lot of my background you'll see in the event space. And of course, now prominently a lot of audio and Clubhouse online. But prior to that, even if we were going to go into childhood, I was the most classic little girl in Southern California who wanted to be a movie star. And I will say, I did theater for first, 20 years of my life. But what I ended up doing was that passion changed a little bit when I did a program at UCLA and I started studying film. And I really fell in love with sound design, which has been an interesting thing to look back on as this audio space has totally blossomed and I just stumbled comfortably right into it. So for me, it wasn't always this event planning that I've done in the last 15 years. I also had these other parts of me that were theater growing up. I had a very theater-driven family, like my mom and dad. We were always doing community theater, very, very close family growing up. And then I started doing filmmaking and really good at it. I got 2 nominations and a win at a film festival in the area, which was huge and very exciting. And then I ended up going all in on the event space. One, it paid better. Two, I also became a mom. So that's one of those things, you know, your priorities obviously shift, let alone when I became a single parent. And so I have two boys. And so for me, it's been a lot of always, you know, things going on in the fire and fun projects. But in the end, it's always creativity where I thrive trying new things. So whether it's like, you know, a new role in theater, or it's film and trying sound design, or it's an event, or it's audio, it always something. I love to try new things. It's been in my blood since I was born.
Oh, there's a lot of similarities there, actually. Coffee lovers. I did theater too growing up, but my parents weren't huge theater like goers, and they didn't do any of that, but they came to see the shows, and they took me to rehearsals and picked me up at crazy hours because it always went overtime. And then also when I went back to uni in my 30s, I fell in love with sound too. And I got like one of the distinction high mark certificates for sound design, and also the producer class as well. But I loved sound, and, you know, they give you a sound-free image or video, and you've got to like totally make it your own with all the sounds and the music. And it was a really creepy kind of video. And I just loved hunting down sounds and listening for those little things. But also I've got a music background. So like when I listen to music, like I sit there and I conduct, so I can hear the beat and I hear all the different instruments in the background. So I'm just hearing all of these similarities between us. And
very clearly soulmates is basically where we're going with it.
I think so. I think we could talk for hours. Oh my goodness. Pity that I have a meeting after us. I could feel like we're going to have a good time. I'm still waiting for my coffee to arrive this morning from my husband. He brings me coffee like every hour or two, new long black coffee, freshly ground.
See, DoorDash is my husband. Very close relationship with food delivery services in my house.
Oh, I love it. Awesome. Well, Bre, let's actually get into your topic. I'm super excited about this. So our topic today is actually called The Power of Being Heard in the Social Space. So my first question for you is, tell us why. Now, we know content is king, but why is audio queen?
Well, for someone who has the sound design background, I'm sure I'm going to be singing to the choir here. But this is one of those things where I think more often than not, sound is really underappreciated. If we take, you know, film and television as an example, in fact, specifically, I saw a TikTok video the other day, and it was one of the funniest things. It was a scene from Harry Potter, and it was a fighting scene. So it was all these wands, but they removed the sound effects in the background and like the backtrack and the music and all of these things that heighten the scene. And so all you heard was like, hoo, 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 he, hoo. And it changes the entire context of the situation. And that's one of those things where until it's gone, sometimes you don't appreciate it. And so the reason I say that is because you can script and storyboard and act your heart out and direct the hell out of something. But sound is one of those elements that can absolutely transform something that it never could be on its own. And so that's why for me, you'll hear the saying like content is king, context is God is one of the sayings. And people will say content is king, but marketing is queen. Like there's all these plays on it. But for me, and a huge part of it is because I have, I think, this arts background. And so for me in my head, I have a very, very deep appreciation and admiration for when it comes to the use of sound.
Yeah, and I can just imagine, right? You're probably watching all the movies and you're paying attention to those little intricate sounds that are going on in the background that most people don't even pay attention to, right?
No, even actually, and another thing that's overlooked, even Foley artists. So that was some of my favorite work when I was doing sound design, including in university, was doing Foley. And then for those who don't know, of course, Foley art is the people who are making like the slurping sound. So it's like a
Yeah.
and all that the mics don't naturally pick up on, when they're shooting a scene or they need to redo the sounds or the, walking. And even those slight nuances and those sound details are another thing that I think it's so important and should never be overlooked.
Yeah, there is some really cool people you can follow on like YouTube and like Facebook, Instagram that do the Foley stuff. And I just find it so interesting. I'll sit there and watch those like over and over again at how they make all the different sounds and that you don't even know. Like, here in Australia, we have a Warner Brothers studio, and it's at a place called Movie World. And we went there, and I was actually picked out of the audience to go up and help make some of the sounds. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was banging the door at the wrong time. I was shooting the gun at the wrong time. Like, it's not that easy. And this was back when I was, traveling with my family. But, I think having that experience when I was so young too made me have a bit more of an appreciation for those crazy sounds that you don't even hear in the background. So look, can you tell us how, live and social audio apps, and you were telling me how many audio apps that you have on your phone, how has it really empowered this whole new generation of influencers and content creators now? And how many apps do you have on your phone? Like, I know of a couple of them, like the Green Room and Clubhouse. I'm sure you said they're popping up all over the place. I had no idea.
So yeah, there's several hundred out there, of course. For me, I have currently in my audio folder on my iPhone, I have about 24 audio apps. So that's excluding that there's also these powerhouses of, Facebook and Twitter that are having audio features built in. So these are just the apps. So we still have even, Reddit and Facebook and Twitter, all these other big players that are also in the game. So not to, of course, sideline them, but just audio apps in general. I have now, like, I think about 24 on my phone. And they're all you can see, kind of, we'll call them like Clubhouse competitors, if you will. I mean, it's absolutely, you can see this door has just opened as this huge, free for all, competition head to head. And they're all over the place, different interfaces, different audiences. It's really, really interesting just to watch and just to take a look at what people are doing.
Yeah.
I will say, as far as this new generation of, influencers and content creators, one of the things that has been really rewarding to experience and see in the audio space, and we use Clubhouse just as an example, since it really was this pioneer that happened.
I know. Hasn't it come a long way?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you just can't deny that. And so what I believe Clubhouse absolutely did in opening this door and paving the way, people that are not comfortable on camera, people that are more introverted, perhaps, maybe they have, on camera anxiety, or they don't like photos of themselves or any of that type of content creation, but they're comfortable speaking, or they were able to find a place of comfort in speaking over time using the app. That has been absolutely huge. And also, I think because Clubhouse was this organically growing community where there wasn't already a competition of, big creators that were already established on the platform or anything, everyone started at ground zero. And for that purpose, I think it just opens so many doors for people and so much visibility and relationships and room for creativity. And the list is just endless. And that's one of my favorite things in the audio space, is to see this empowerment for creative minds.
Oh, definitely. I joined. I think it was just the December of the time that it all started to take off, and there were like 24-hour rooms running, and I did a lot of those with Kate and Dan and a few others. Right? Yeah, we were all there. We were all there, and I mean, it has come really far. I turned the app on the other day, and the sound quality and that kind of group conversation now that like you're in the room, but it's almost like your natural ear where it's separating all the sounds and the voices, and you can actually talk over the top of each other now, and it feels like you're in this room with people all around you. I was so fascinated after not turning the app on for so long to see that transition of where they've come. It's amazing, right? And now people are running those ASMR rooms and
Yes, it's great. They incorporated the spatial audio feature, a handful of weeks ago, and you really hear it on your headphones or Bluetooth in the car. It's extraordinary. They've only improved upon it. And then today they just announced, literally about an hour and a half ago, they just announced that they're rolling out a music sound feature. So it'll be really, really optimized for music, which is
oh,
great. That's increasing on the platform. One of the clubs I'm a producer for, Lullaby Club, we're all music based. So for us, this is huge development.
yeah.
And it's just wonderful to see some of these features. They have these clips where you can take the last 30 seconds of a room and share it out now.
Oh,
They're gearing
wow.
up for replays where they're going to automatically be able to record your show for you, and you can download it or have it live on your profile for people to listen back. Huge moves and really, really nice. I think very user friendly.
Wow. Like I had no idea because I was one of those people. I went in, I spent probably 6 or so months, like, living in Clubhouse, sleeping in Clubhouse. Uh, I think we've all fallen asleep with the headphones in and woken up to still being on stage. Um, But how about you? I'm just curious. Are you still spending as much time in there as, we all were in the beginning? Like I've met and made so many friends, and a lot of the podcast interviews like yourself, Spectacular, the list goes on and on of the people that have come onto the show since Clubhouse. Um, how about you? Are you still in there?
So I'm on,
You're
but it's just so I'm smiling and almost laughing at myself because immediately I think about my first podcast interview about Clubhouse at the beginning of the year. So we're going back, 10 months now, I would say. And then I would say, I'm spending I'm not going to lie, 80 hours a week on the app easily. And I mean, not sleeping. That was the active waking up like 6 a.m. roll over. I open Clubhouse, then I'm up till 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. Nuts. It was constant.
I
But
was
now
there. I did the same thing,
yes.
right? And at one stage, because my husband was sleeping, I was actually closing a deal and listening to Clubhouse at the same time. And because I was on my phone, I had to leave the bedroom in the dark. And I'm standing in the room and I'm typing messages in the DMs and listening. And then I went to walk and I smacked straight into a wall. I
You
had not
didn't.
slept maybe a couple of hours in like 3 or 4 days. I was delirious. I didn't even know where I was in my own house.
Oh
So
my God,
I didn't
Sally.
even know where to look for the light switch.
I can't.
Drug house it was, like,
There you
seriously.
go. Clubhouse rehab time is basically what happened there. But in all reality, that's a very, very common story for a lot of us that came in this December to March.
Yeah.
Like part, I would say, is a lot of us were very, very heavy users and well-meaning because we just fell in and loved what we were doing and loved the people. I would like to say we loved the people that we were meeting, the conversations we were having. I know that's why I was on. And I'm some of my best friends from Clubhouse, hands down. And now, however, first of all, I'll preface that the reason for my shift and that now I use it much more intentionally And I'm not putting in the 80 hours. I could if I chose to, but I'm not. And one of the reasons for that is because I'm doing a lot of professional producing on the app now. So the time I'm spending on it is for clients, people I'm actually producing shows for. And so if I'm on that app, that is my first and foremost priority, is going to be whoever that content creator is, the celebrity, the brand, whatever it is that I'm on the app for, I'm going on that app for them and for that show and that purpose and meeting their goals. The other time in between that I go on, I'm going on because I want to see my friends, or I'm looking for a room that's either a topic of interest to me, or maybe I just want to have a conversation about Squid Game. So I'm gonna go look for a Netflix Squid Game room.
That's
But
so cool.
it's very different in that I'm not going on to 8-hour stages anymore, because it just doesn't serve the purpose and where I'm at now in the audio space. And I want to use my time in this space very, very intentionally. And so I'm not putting in the 80 hours because I don't need to achieve what I'm looking to achieve.
Yeah. I mean, how beautiful that you have been able to take, this love and this passion. You got in early, so you were able to build your brand in there, and people know who you are in your little picture with your coffee mug. And but then, being able to turn it into, a place that you get to go and hang out, do what you love, and share your skill set, and serving others at the same time. That is awesome. And I'm all about, that. It's about helping others. And yeah, I love that it is intentional with you. I mean, I miss it sometimes and I do turn it on. But yeah, I mean, lots has changed since I was in there. I probably spent up till about sort of April. And you just said, 10 months ago. I swear it feels like years ago.
I
Like,
know.
when I was saying I don't know what year we're in, and then you're like, it was just like this year, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
really? Because the connections and the bonds in the room were so strong. It's like
Mhm.
we've known each other for years.
Now,
And
isn't that tells you something though, also about, even touching on what we talked about before about this power of audio and this new generation, of content creators and everything, but just even the power of being heard, right? And that right there, I think, speaks volumes about what this audio space is doing. You see it even on Twitter spaces now. The community is thriving there, and these relationships, they're accelerated. And a huge part of that is because, one, you don't have to be camera ready. You don't have to go out to an event or anything. There's this really interesting, almost like filter removal that
mm,
happens in these audio rooms. It's like you're immediately on a party line. It's not an interview. It's not business. You're choosing the conversation you want to participate in and who you want to be in, or you leave and go to another one. And so it's almost like we wear all these masks in life, right? You have like your interview business mask when you
yeah.
want to get a job, and the one when you're with your best friend and you're going to put on a bunny suit and goof off, and like with your lover. Like, there's all these different types of parts of us. And I feel like all of that goes away in this audio space, and you're just automatically, stripped down. And it's all about just your why of being there and connecting on this most basic, authentic level.
Yeah.
And I think that's why these relationships, for better or worse, are totally accelerated in this space. And so you're right. The 10 months ago, it feels like some of these people, when I say best friends, I mean, literally in 48 hours, I'm traveling for a week and a half with people I met on Clubhouse. And that right there tells you something. And I feel like I've known him for years,
Yeah.
years. It's amazing.
And the atmosphere inside of those rooms too. I loved how the people were curating their own rooms, and also, unlike when you stream live or you put a post up, people, you get your stalkers, your trolls, all of those things. If you got a troll up on stage, the people managing the stage would be like telling people off if they weren't being nice to people. They would
True.
put them back in their place. I've heard people apologize for starting out being rude, and then people go, hang on, like, pull yourself in, So people were actually so good at, calling people out when they were being rude. And then I think because of that, they couldn't voice and be that troll because everyone is just nice. Well, in most rooms anyway. I mean, there are those rooms, I stay out of them, where they just like to sit there and complain about things.
Of course.
Like attracts like. But in the types of rooms that we hang out in, there's always that sense of positivity, sharing, giving, serving, which, it just gives me goosebumps thinking about, that community that organically grew out of just listening and falling asleep with each other in each other's ears.
Literally.
I know, right?
It's true.
So what would you say is the future when it comes to, live in this social audio space? Do you think it's a fad or do you think it's forever?
There's no doubt in my mind it's forever. I mean, the thing is, and it's not even new. That's the other thing. So people talking about being a fad as if this is something that hasn't existed before, when storytelling has been around forever. We can even talk about hieroglyphics and drawings on caves, like the way that we have always told stories and things passed down from generation to generation to generation. This isn't new. It's just we have this format and these, apps and these mediums that with the times, obviously, we try and create, and we just continue this natural human part of ourselves. So that's the other thing. That's why I don't think it's a fad. I do think it's early yet. And if you were to pick who's going to come out on top and which is going to be, the quote unquote best, if you will. And I don't even think it's that black and white either. We're going to have different communities. It's like comparing, which is the best, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. You can't do that.
You can't, yeah, right. And each of the rooms are creating their own communities in there as well, and their own followings, like their own little radio stations. And, there are so many different varieties and creative varieties, from games rooms and music rooms. Like, I mean, I'm going to have to come in and check out some of the lullaby stuff because, I love the music.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, if you're available, it'll be this Sunday here in America. Yeah. So your Monday morning, I believe it will be. We're going to have a band on Lullaby Club called X Ambassadors. They sing the song like Unsteady, if you know that one. It has like 500, 800 million streams on YouTube, like crazy, huge, massive hit. And it's a fantastic community, and you can just relax and fall asleep while listening.
Oh, yes. What time on Sunday? Your time? I've got international clients all over the world, so you don't have to.
So for us, Pacific, because I'm based in California, we do Lullaby Club Sunday through Thursday, every single night at 9 p.m. Pacific time.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a pretty, 9 p.m. Cool. I've got it. Excellent. I'll be in. Don't you worry. I'm going to come check in and have a listen. I love music, and I'm so interested to hear what you're doing in that space now. Because it's all changed, and you will be so excited, like with all that new stuff that has just been released. You'll be like dying to get.
Oh, are you kidding? I love it.
That is so cool.
Trying new things. Yeah. It's great.
Awesome. Well, we're moving into the part of the interview that we call the sparkle questions. So they're not topic specific, but it's more about just kind of getting to know a little bit more about you. So my first sparkle question for you is, who would be 3 people that have really been an inspiration and a support to you along your journey to where you are today?
Oh, this is one of those things where it's so hard to actually pick just 3.
I just have to say, coffee's arrived. Priorities. He's wonderful. Oh,
keeper.
I feel like I'll be normal in a minute once I have a bit of coffee.
See, perfect. And I get it. See, there it is. Starbucks just cut me a check and we're good. So Okay, so right off the bat, I just have to say my mom, rest in peace. She actually passed away last year.
Oh,
But she in all corners has been an amazing influence in my life and even continues to be because I think about her, all the time. And everything from, theater growing up as practically a miniature her to helping me out as a single mom. She practically helped me raise my kids when I still needed to work. And it was a godsend. And same with my father. But also, anytime I wanted to try something new and branch out, she even got to see me, in the sound design and audio. And she was always supportive and always, Godspeed. I know you can do it. I know you'll kill it. And she would always say, as long as you do your best, you're fine. And that applied even as in school, at grade school. You don't need straight A's as long as you're genuinely doing your best and, you're not flunking out, you're fine. And she would say, because I failed algebra 3 years in a row. And so it was great. There's so many takeaways that I put into like my professional life, relationships, motherhood that really came from my relationship with her. So she's a huge pillar growing up and will continue to be because I'll carry that through the rest of my life. For the other two, just right at the forefront, looking at me going from corporate event planning world to entrepreneurship, really got the balls to do that last year, right when the pandemic hit, actually, to be frank, about a month in. So like around March, April. And it was two friends that I actually met on Facebook, believe it or not. Veronica Abrams is one. She's amazing, great in the podcast space. Now she's like heavy into crypto and is just total badass. Another one's Andrew Carlson. He's this extraordinary life NLP coach, just changed my mindset in so many ways. And the two of them were the people who basically told me, in fact, I have a tattoo. Okay, you ready for the ugliest tattoo you'll ever see? Because it's my handwriting. I have the worst handwriting. So I have this tattoo on my wrist and it says, "Do it afraid." And I intentionally made it my handwriting because I want it to be me. Like I have to be accountable for this. And they're the ones who taught me this. No, like you're never going to feel ready to do something. You'll always get that analysis paralysis or shiny object syndrome. So it was like, even if you're feeling nervous and you're feeling afraid, just do it because you already haven't done it. You have nothing to lose. And if you stumble your way through it, you did it. And so for me, once they were able to get that through my head and support and inspire me, and I was watching them kill it, I quit my job the next day.
Oh, wow.
And it's been like no turning back. But truly, I mean, that was a huge, huge game changer in the middle of a freaking pandemic.
Yeah. Look, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur and it takes a certain type of mindset. It really does. It is not the easy road because you've got to get uncomfortable, right? And I love that you've put that on there as a reminder. I always say, feel the fear and do it anyway. Right?
Yes,
just do it. The only way through it is through.
Exactly. And I've applied that so much to what I'm doing now and this, what people think is like this new space, because for a lot of people, it is new. It's very foreign. They have a challenge, recalibrating their thinking into how I can really leverage this, especially when it comes to brand partnerships and, working with really high level, celebrities and influencers. And this has been a huge, huge game changer, this, doing it afraid, because the outreach, when it's something that is so new to people, has been a big, big step that you have to do. Reach out. All people can do is say no.
Right? Nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
No. But if they say yes, whoa, the world could open, right?
It's
just, yeah. Well, I love that you're in the entrepreneurial space. It is the coolest world. You find the right people, surround yourself with amazing people, and together we rise, because it's through collaborations and, supporting each other's, area of genius. Like recently I got to work with Amy Porterfield. Now, I help people with courses, but I really love the automation side. So why not just stick in the lane that I like and surround myself with people that love their lane and we're like a complementary businesses then, because we can all help each other. There's enough in the world for us all. There are the scarcity mindset entrepreneurs. You will find those that don't want to share, don't want to collaborate, don't want to be in the same room with people in the same industry.
Yes.
But it is when you open yourself up to not being afraid to share with people in this space, the amount of knowledge that people are willing to give to you, it's phenomenal. And in Clubhouse, it is just a mastermind on steroids. Right?
Isn't it so? Will you ever find so many entrepreneurs? Now, that's the other thing. It's of all levels. That's what's so extraordinary about it. You have people that are aspiring to be entrepreneurs. You have people that are full of shit entrepreneurs, right? To be frank.
They can't hold their own for too long in Clubhouse.
Exactly. And it is an amazing community. And I'm really glad that you just mentioned that about making sure you kind of find your community in the entrepreneur space, because it feels a lot of times as an entrepreneur, if you don't know others, no one really gets it or gets you, to share with struggles and to be able to support you and collaborate. I couldn't agree more. It's really important.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, I got to speak to Elon Musk in Clubhouse, right?
Oh my God, that's right.
Oh God,
amazing.
I remember. His room just ended up crashing, and it got so big. But and the day that Zuckerberg decided to come in and stalk around, we've seen some pretty big names come in through the rooms that we've been in. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I just love it. Now I'm gonna probably tonight I'll be in Clubhouse.
Good. Perfect.
All right. My next one is, what about 3 books or audio books? Depends you're probably a listener. You're an Audible girl, I would say. Or are you a reader?
I'm a reader.
Oh,
so
yeah, I am such an Audible person. Like if I really love the book, I'll buy it. But I'll still listen to it and it's like somebody's reading it to me while I'm looking at the words.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because you actually made me think for a second, go, why aren't I listening to audiobooks? But no, I'm not just a reader. I'll still check books out of the library.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
I like holding a book. I like a bookmark and I like the smell of it and turning the pages.
My daughter says the same thing. She
Really?
loves the smell of books. My husband read to her every single day when she was in my belly, every day.
Really?
Yeah. So I was in a hospital for 4 months with her in this position called Trendelenburg because she would have fallen out of me. So they put me upside down to keep her in for 4 months. And my husband started buying little Mr. Men books, the little white Mr. Men books.
Yes.
Yeah. So he started buying all of those. Her very first Mr. Men book was Mr. Strong. Come on, stay inside. Because we didn't know if she was going to be a boy or a girl. Doesn't really matter what she is. And so he read Mr. Strong, and every day he went for a walk down the road and he bought a Mr. Men book and he came back and he read it to her in my belly. And we ran out of them, and then we bought Little Miss books. So we got the whole series. We were short 3, and he shopped around everywhere for them. And he got the last one, and there's still a couple that we didn't end up getting. I think it was like 2 that we didn't get. But the last book that he read, he says, "That's it, darling. I cannot find the last 2 books. This will be your last Mr. Men book." And she was born the next day.
No way.
Yeah, way.
Oh.
And then she spent some time in special care, and he went in there because I was confined. I still hadn't learned to walk from being stuck in bed. And he went in and read to her in her little incubator thingy and made all the nurses cry.
No way. Oh.
So I think, I don't know, like she loves books and she's the same as you. She says, I love the smell of them. She doesn't like to break the spine too much either. And yeah, she's got so many and she reads like they're this thick and And I don't read. I used to go into the classroom when I was in high school and have you could go into a reading room where they'd read the book to you because I didn't like reading.
Do you use audiobooks then?
Yeah, I listen.
Even
if I have to learn something, I'll read it to myself, record it, and listen back. I actually remembered back in high school, When I was studying, I found it really hard to retain when I read. And I would record into a cassette tape, shows my age. I would record into a cassette tape and listen back to some of the important things I needed to remember for class. Because back then they didn't know about all of these, different learning styles. It seemed like everyone had to learn the same way. But yeah, every day or night I'm listening to an audiobook or a podcast. But my question, we're totally where's my cat?
Oh, sorry.
She gives me my tangent bell. My cat's not feeling well today, but she usually has a little tangent bell because Sally goes off on all sorts of tangents. So
okay, sorry. Let me think. This is a good book. This is a good question. So especially because I read a lot of fiction books. So right off the bat, I'm like, okay, so we're not going to include 50 Shades in this because this is not relevant to the conversation. So let's just put that aside.
I watched it. I didn't read it. I watched it. Yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't count. So one of the ones right off the bat, and it's because actually I read it last year, and it was one of those books where I'm a Post-it person. Like literally I have like Post-its everywhere.
They're real ones. They've got to be real
no,
because
they're real
fall off the wall and curl. My box is over there. I've got 4,000 Post-it notes sitting over there in a box waiting to be loved.
See?
Look,
so
can
this
I
book,
show you? These all over my desk.
Oh, we are the same person. This is fun. So truly, so like for taking notes without actually writing in the book, like I had like Post-its and I would like make notes and draw arrows and stuff. This book was Nonviolent Communication is what it was called. The only problem is I'm trying to remember. Hold on. I want to know who the author is for anyone that would be interested. It's by Marshall Rosenberg. And it was so interesting just to really help learn about and improve just interpersonal communication in general and resolving conflict and being a better listener, an active listener with people, and really work on the way you respond to people. And that was huge. It helped me a lot with family relationships, with friends. It even helped me start to identify people in my life that I identified as, wow, this is a toxic person. I really want to distance myself from, that person and that energy. And it's a fantastic book. I highly, highly recommend. Another one that I would think of would be probably The Four Agreements is a classic. That's a really, really good book. And then another good kind of really good mindset, The Art of Happiness, which is the Dalai Lama. That's another really, really good book. So I'd recommend those three, but Nonviolent Communication is a game changer for me more recently.
Excellent. Well, I've got my credit for the month from Audible. So I will, every month I get my credit. So that's on my list. I'm going to put it on there for sure.
It's really good. And it's one of those things where it's an easy read too. And so that's really nice. You'll go through it really, really smoothly, and it really does help. It's really actionable.
I love that, that takeaway of distancing yourself from toxic people. And, sometimes family, you've got to be around certain people, but you can choose those people. When I was younger, I was with people that weren't going anywhere, really. They they were happy not to really work, and they were, a holiday for them was driving an hour down the road. And I remember learning that I needed to choose wisely those people that I give my time to and call friends. And that was the year I decided to just totally disassociate. It was like a rebirth almost, when I realized that, this crazy world that I had fallen into, it was so toxic. And we've only got one life to live, right? And you want to share it with people who appreciate it and it's meaningful and that support you and your dreams and don't pull you down. So
Absolutely.
and the longer you're an entrepreneur, it's all mindset work. So we're constantly mindset working ourselves and reading and listening, all the things, right? Constantly. It's the only way to keep going because it's definitely not easy. All right, my last sparkle question for you is, if you were in my shoes and you were asking questions, what would have been a question that I should have asked you?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. It's always like, what? Taking myself out of my own shoes if I were you. I would say I would ask about, I would say, how have you changed over the past year with the pandemic, especially, being in the event space? And it seems like, the world comes crashing down.
Right.
That's something I would have thought about.
Okay, so how have you changed over the last year? Because the event space, I totally get that. One of my offsider here in the Sparkle world, she runs massive in-person market events, vendor events with a 10,000 foot traffic. So that part of her life is literally just gone. And what about the event space? How has that impacted you? I mean, we hear all the time about, coffee shop owners and those types of retailers. But yeah, the event space as well is probably something that isn't as talked about as some of those other, ones that most of us kind of walk into every day that haven't been able to walk into every day.
Yeah. I mean, it's of course, the most common narrative within the events industry itself, especially when the pandemic hit. It was practically overnight. I'll never forget, I had some of my biggest events ever lined up for the summer of 2020. And so in the spring, when, everything went on lockdown, it was quite literally overnight. I had to get on the phone and send emails and cancel everything. And it really was the world at a standstill, and to just go, so now what? And that's really, really difficult, especially for someone with like entrepreneurial personality in general. So, you want to keep moving, you want to keep working all the time. And to pause and feel like there's like, well, what do I do? That was torture for me. Absolute torture. And then I'll add the fun fact, get a visual of the school's closed. I'm a single parent. So I have 2 kids now that I have to somehow, navigate a new job, if you will, and basically homeschool, distance learn 2 children. It was a nightmare. There was one time my 7-year-old like walked into the room. I was on Zoom and he walked in like butt naked. There was so many stories, where it was just like, oh, what a nightmare looking back. And with that, mentally, I'd be lying if I didn't say like mentally, it took a really, really tough toll on me at first. It wasn't all like entrepreneurial gold, like, rainbows and sunshine. I quit my job and was a millionaire the next day. Not at all. I mean, it was really hard on a personal level and on a business level for the first few months to just not know. And a huge, huge part of really what shifted my mindset, as we've talked a lot, and just even my business strategy and branding has been what we touched on earlier, that community. Surrounding myself with other people in my industry, not as competitors, but as supporters and collaborators, and branching outside of my comfort zone into this entrepreneur world, trying coaching and doing consulting, and look now even like getting involved in crypto and all these other things, and being comfortable that I don't have to just do one thing. It's beautiful to even be able to try and be fantastic at, multiple things. And there's always something new and fresh. And so for me, I went from being almost emotionally paralyzed in a lot of ways and depressed to going, breaking out of the shell. And now it's like, come at me. Like, I'll take it. What pandemic? Like, nothing's going to stop me now. Fine. I'll go into audio. I don't have to go out. I mean, truly though, has been a huge mindset shift from just being totally a statue and frozen to moving at just like lightning speed with a smile on my face.
That's so awesome. So how old are your kids? Oh, you said 7 is one, and how old is
Yes. I have a 7-year-old son, and then I have a soon to be, which is weird to say because it's overwhelming, a 15-year-old son. And I'm like, oh, that's almost a grown up.
Honey, my daughter just turned 16 this year and got her learner's permit here in Australia. So she's driving on the road.
No, thank you.
And I'm like, I feel like it was only yesterday I was wiping bums. And it was only yesterday I was her age, right? Like,
I can't even believe it. And mind you, my 15-year-old goes to the schools I went to. Like, it's my old high school and it was my old middle school. So like, I know everything. And so
some of the teachers still there for when you were
yes,
there,
actually,
right?
he has my Spanish teacher. And I told him, I was like, are you still learning the same songs in Spanish that I learned? And I started to sing it and he finished it. And it was one of those moments where I will say, because I live in a small town in Central California. And it was one of those moments where I was like, blessing and curse of a small town. Hands down.
Yeah. Oh, look, watching our kids grow up, it's amazing. But then on the other hand, it does make you feel old.
So true. It does though. It's okay as long as I keep dyeing my hair pink. The gray hair is
like I used to do all the colors back when I was in school. I was the girl with the pink hair and the all the colors, and I was the weirdo. Now it's trendy and cool, right?
See, figures.
Yeah. But same, like I look at my daughter and like even the music and things she's listening to, I've got no clue. And we just got her tickets to Tyler the Creator. We're all going to Tyler the Creator. He's coming to Australia next year. And I'm like, okay, now I got to get up on Tyler the Creator.
Mm-hmm. Good, you'll be the hip mom.
Yeah. Well, look, my daughter she loves a lot of the old stuff too. Huge Queen fan, and lots of the old. She was listening like nearly all the Beatles albums, but she also likes a lot of the things that are different. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, we're off topic again. Oh dear.
Are we? All right.
I swear we're going to be mates for life. I feel like so many similarities between us that I didn't even know about before we started chatting today. Coffee, sound, theatre,
Beautiful thing.
We'll be talking. I want to find out all the theatre shows that you've been in and what roles you've played. I mean, I've done a few, like probably not as many as you, because I really got into theatre sort of mid-high school. And then I did a few and then sort of moved out of home and it just kind of fell away. But you were probably doing it from a really young age, I would say.
I was probably 5 years old when I started in community theater, doing like little things like, Oliver, and mind you, it all sticks with me. I still have all the songs memorized, like all of that, The Music Man, very classic musicals. Cause it was school plays and all of that. Wizard of Oz, got to be like the Scarecrow, like all of that. And then I actually did my junior and senior year of high school at a boarding art school. It's in Southern California called Idlewild Arts Academy. And it's like half art school, half college prep in a lot of ways. So you had school 6 days a week and you had a major, just like an arts college. So my major was theater, shocker. And you would spend your mornings basically in your academics, have lunch, and then your afternoon into the evening, and then including Saturdays, was all your art all the time. And it was extraordinary. I mean, it took art to the next level, especially for college. And it really was. It was transformative, let alone the fact that you're at boarding school. So talk about growing up very quickly, everything from laundry to food. It was amazing.
I was always jealous because I didn't discover theatre until it was probably in year 8 when I was at school, and of those those young kids that got into it early, you know, and they were known in the industry because they'd been acting and doing all the things from a very young age. And I was always really jealous that, you know, I hadn't discovered it earlier. And I look back and I think I was probably like 14, and I thought I was so old. I was so old. Nobody's going to want me now because all these other people have been doing it since they were 5.
No, you got people like Matthew McConaughey didn't even get his first real role until Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and he was like 31 or something like that, or in his like late 20s. There's tons of those people too. Or was it Bradley Cooper? Trying to remember who. But I mean, there's tons of those stories. It's like, if you got it, you got it.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm thinking I should just go and audition for the local theatre. My husband will go, not another thing. Not another thing. I do so many shiny things. Oh dear. Yeah, it just takes me back. I got the lead role in a play called Nonsense. So I was Mother Superior, and I got to sing and pretend to be stoned and drunk, and it was so fun. And I was only
was
like
that
16.
a Broadway? That was the show that was on Broadway.
Yeah. So
yeah, I know all the things.
Yeah.
I love
we
it.
did The Boyfriend. I didn't get the lead in that, but I still got a principal role in The Boyfriend. That was really good. We did Grease, but the original Grease. So the stage show Grease, not the movie with all the movie songs. There were some of the songs from the movie, but and that one was a larger one in a small big-ish arena here in our local town. That was super fun. I was just in the chorus there, but learning how to do lifts and the guys holding you up and all the bruises. They make it look so simple on stage when they get thrown around. But when you learn that and you're like coming home bruised, black and blue from being thrown in the air 50 times that night.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, whenever my husband and I, we haven't been able to for the last couple of years, but we try to get to a stage show, like a big one here in Melbourne, at least a couple of times a year. And now my daughter, she likes to go with us. So, but the local theatre, like we've been to those, and they're just as good as some of the really expensive ones in Melbourne, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm like, I need to support local and see them here first, because we saw Annie in Melbourne, big, like expensive show, and then a few months later the local did it and it was actually better.
Really? So wait, what's your favorite, whether it's like small community theater or like big, giant show? What was your favorite or one of your favorites that you've seen?
I would say, I love this question. It's really hard. So We Will Rock You was amazing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And I'd have to say, I wish it was a longer show, but my all-time favorite, whenever it's being played and is in town, no matter who's in it, I will always go and see it, Rocky Horror.
Oh, yes!
No matter what. I don't care who's in it. I don't care where it is. But if I hear that Rocky Horror is playing somewhere, I'm off.
You're doing the time warp, basically.
Right? I'm up in the audience. I'm dancing. Yes, I am that person.
I love it. How can you not, though? It's Rocky. It's classic.
Oh my God. I know. Like I love it. And so every time it has ever played anywhere, it's one of those things we have to, but it just doesn't go long enough, right? It is such a short show.
And if you get a good Frankenfurter too, you don't want it to end.
I know. There one in particular, I don't know who he was, but he was amazing. He was in one of the shows in Melbourne. There was another one that we saw that had somebody who was more sort of famous, and I swear he only got the role because he was well known. But you could see that there wasn't this connection of the characters on stage. It was very fake, and there wasn't like the connection between like Columbia and that just the way they interacted. It just felt very put on, the whole show. So yeah, I get to that point where I get very picky now when I go and see Rocky Horror. Like they've got to have a really good connection with each other and not just be able to sing the songs. But yeah, that would totally be my favorite. And then second place would We Will Rock You, but I've seen so many. Like, I've lost count. We buy every program. I've got a box full of programs.
Do you?
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I always keep my playbills.
Yeah. And Grease was one that I was in as well. We got to do Grease. That was super fun. Yeah.
I love it.
Again, only in the chorus, but I'm okay with that.
See, I love it. It's so cool. We're both going to be drama nerds for life.
Oh, totally. I know. Well, my dream was to my husband and I want to like go to Broadway, and I'm literally just going to live and breathe show after show after show.
Yes, please.
Oh, and I want to do Christmas because we've never had a white Christmas here in Australia because it's summer. So I've said to my husband, we're going to go to America and have a white Christmas, and then we're going to end up on Broadway.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah. And every time I've been to America, it's by myself, not with my family. So the next time I definitely want to go with my family. Oh, my mum. Oh, here we go. Totally off topic. My mum just booked herself yesterday a cruise. And I'm like,
where's she going?
I don't know where she's going, but I'm like, because the whole pandemic and the boats, and I'm like, what? Oh, not till 2023. Oh, okay, all right. But she loves her cruising so much. She's booked. She's like, I'm double vaxxed. I'm getting it.
Oh my God.
All right, Bre, I do have another meeting I've got to get to soon. But my last question is you have to complete this sentence. Okay. I am Bre and I sparkle because.
Okay. I am Bre and I sparkle because I live every day as my best life, best version of myself to bring out the best in other people.
I love that. Thank you so much, Bre. This has been a delight. I feel like I'm having a cup of coffee with a best friend right now. It has been
Cheers.
Absolutely awesome. And for everyone who has joined us live or on the replay, make sure you leave a comment and, let us know what did you think of the interview with Bre, and what did you like best? Was there a standout moment that you're like, yeah, that's really cool, I like that? Or did you learn something? So don't leave. If you've made it to the end of this interview, make sure that you do put a comment below of, a key takeaway, a learning. We've just taken up a little bit of your time and you stayed here to the end. Good on you. You must have liked it if you've made it this far. Now, Bre, if anyone wants to find out things about you, where can they go? Where's the best places?
Oh, well, right now I have a magic wand working on my website. So easiest way, and truly you'd reach me directly anyways, would be just go to Instagram. Super simple. You'll find me on there. I'm on there all the time. I am not a daily post or anything, but I am present. You can shoot me a DM. Always love to connect with people. And it's just my name. Very simple. It's my name across all socials. So Twitter, Facebook, Clubhouse, Instagram. It's just Bre Donofrio, and you'll see my pink little profile photo with the coffee cup in front of my face all over.
That's it. Perfect. Good branding there. You can't miss it. It's like me and my rainbow hair. Simple. Excellent. So this has been so super fun. Thank you so much, Bre. And everybody else out there, if you have enjoyed today, make sure you tune in every couple of weeks on a Friday here in Australia, or a Thursday over there on the other side. We are in the future here. But if you've really enjoyed this, you will be able to join us for Podcast Batching Day, and then this show will be edited and put onto Straight Talk with Sally on like the podcast and all the places and things. So thank you everybody for tuning on in, and I look forward to reading your comments below. And as always, never let anyone dull your sparkle. Bye guys.